Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Real Chill Conversations. First of all, let me say happy 2024 to everybody. I know it's been a minute. We took a little break and hit the pause button, but we are back with all new episodes every Sunday with myself and Dominique. And how's your 2024 going so far, Dominique?
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful. That's
Yes.
what I love.
Hey, everybody.
It's what I love to hear.
Back.
Yeah, so we decided tonight we're going to have a two-part topic. The first topic is, does age equal maturity? And then the second part of the topic is, do girls mature faster than boys? And I've got some information and some stats that I'm going to share with y'all that might be a little bit eye opening, because it definitely was for me when I read the information that I was looking at. We got to do our research. So I had to look up some things and check out some things. And I learned something that I didn't know already. So there's always room for improvement, always room for growth, always an opportunity to learn something new. So we hope that's something that you get from us when we have our topics and share our topics on this podcast. We're open to having conversations that you all would like to have, things that you would like to talk about. We're happy to take the reins and talk about it. So let's get into it. Does age equal maturity? Now, a lot of people, that when I posted that question in the group, a lot of people posted yes, age equals maturity. There were a couple people that said no, and there was, I think somebody said it depends. Now, statistically, and scientifically, age does equal maturity. A woman's brain is not fully mature until she's, how do you think, how old?
How we
30,
want to know.
32. 30,
32.
32 years old is when a woman's brain is fully mature.
Wow.
And behind that, it could take men up to 10 years longer to reach that maturity level. Is that
40.
crazy?
Yeah, that it is. Well, I always thought that women do kind of mature faster than men.
Yeah.
Not only scientifically, but as far as some women, I'm not going to say all, but do be looking at life itself and what they need to do and up planning for the future.
Right.
So, yeah, I kind of figured that women would probably mature a little faster.
And I also thought that the maturity went hand in hand because, when you're talking about growing up and like going through puberty and all that stuff, girls tend to start, that pubescent cycle faster than boys. You have girls that are 8, 9, 10 years old, getting their cycles already. Some of them need, training bras, at 9 years old. And for boys, it's just a matter of their testicles dropping and them getting a little more bass in their voice. And you're like, oh, he's in puberty, getting that facial hair, getting that body hair, and all of that. So, with the physical maturity, I think that society puts us in a position where because a 15-year-old girl looks like a 25-year-old woman physically from the outside, she's treated a certain way, and she's expected to have a maturity level that matches that physicality. And I think that's incorrect. You can't treat a 15-year-old girl like a 25-year-old, even though she looks like one. And we've all seen them. We've seen them 15-year-olds in high school that look like she's 25. Like, is she a teacher or
Yeah, that's true. You could see it physically.
you could see it? You could see it physically. So in gut, you think about, the growth of your mindset and your thought process. If you're put in a position where you're being approached, and you have men that are older that are trying to talk to you and are trying to get with you and all of that. They're talking to you in a more grown up version than what maybe you're used to talking to your friends, your family, your parents, and all of that, which puts you in a position, I think, of confusion. And I have to say, like, honestly, I felt like my 20s was just an extension of my teenage years. Even though I was more mature, I was responsible, I was holding down a corporate job, I had my own car, I had my own apartment, I had all the grown up things. But my thought process, even though I was in working in a professional capacity and I could make professional decisions, I think emotionally, as far as being mature, I wasn't there in my 20s. I think I was definitely in my 30s when I hit that point where I was like, okay, this is okay, this is not okay, and was able to make better decisions, as far as emotionally maturing.
I can say the same for me as well. It's like when that 30 mark is just something that I really felt it like at 35, because I was like, okay, so am I just living day by day? It was stuff like that I would approve of back in my 20s.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, I was childish in a lot of ways. Um, but when I hit that 35 mark, I was like, is this something that really excite me? Like I started thinking about my future, my kids' future, a house, different things that women think about and they try to get prepared for, not just mentally, um, but financially as well.
Mhm.
Now, to me, we have women out there who moms talk to them, and mom, she's trying to get you ready for that life.
Right.
So to me, we also have that guidance. So it kind of pushes us a little bit more to mature a little bit faster in what is that we're trying to do in life.
Because they're teaching us kind of what to expect and the ways of the world and how boys are and how men are, and certain things for us to look out for so that we can, stay on the right path and not get ourselves in trouble, and hopefully not bring no babies home before we graduate high school. uh because if you are 15 and you looking like you 25 and you got a 25-year-old boyfriend, but you're not really having any conversations about being responsible, then yeah, teen pregnancy is definitely an epidemic. It's definitely something that happens more often than it should, and I do think that it's on both ends. It's on girls not being mature enough. It's on boys not being mature enough. It's on them living on them hormones and thinking about nothing else, and just wanting to be hot and heavy with each other, and that's it. So
So I
you know
read something that said men should not get married till like they're after 28.
I believe it. I mean, think about it. If a woman's not full, if a woman's brain is not fully mature until she's 32, and for a man, if it can take up to 10 years longer for his brain to fully mature, then of course, I think that's why a lot of younger women are more interested in dating older men, because they have the experience and they have the maturity that these young boys out here in the street don't have.
Ooh, I'm so glad you touched on that. Let's get into that because I did ask that question in the group chat.
Yeah.
And y'all, please, we're not experts, just so give us y'all comments and y'all opinions about
Yeah.
this. Um, but I know some people that be like, oh, she's with an older man because all she wants is money. Okay. And in some instances, I'm not, okay, that could be the case. I'm not going to say that it's not true. Some instances, some people do look at older people for stability,
Right.
right? Um, But looking at the times that we're in, the average older man, just being realistic, probably makes the average income. Just being realistic. So let me bring this up, because I want to do. I do. I said I hope she talks about this because I want to talk about this. What are some qualities that you would like in older man, or you would look for, and that's what would make you date a older man?
Well, the mental maturity and the emotional maturity is definitely one of them. Being in a position to be able to communicate my feelings and for us to be able to have a discussion without it turning into an argument and a fight, as in with my younger relationships and when I was, in a younger situation, I could never really bring my feelings to the table and explain how I was feeling or something I was going through without, it being dismissed or, oh, you shouldn't feel that way, or what, or whatever. I want to be with someone that's, that's going to hear me out and is going to listen to what I'm saying. And, even if they don't agree with my thought process and how I'm choosing to handle something, but at least don't dismiss me and put me down for having my feelings. Let me have my feelings. Let me feel how I feel and just be like, okay, you can have that. I get it. I understand. I think differently, but I think that's definitely one of the things. I think that maturity and older men, they're more responsible. I think they're more responsible. They're less likely to want to be playing games out here, less likely to want to be juggling different relationships, situationships, and all this other kind of stuff because they've been there, done that. And they've seen where it's gotten them. You have a lot of, older men or mature men that might have several children. They might have several baby mamas. They might have, a wife or two under their belt. But I think it's those experiences that teach them to behave and conduct themselves in a certain manner that makes it attractive to date an older
And
man.
I feel that very attractive in older men.
Yeah.
Okay, Brenda is married.
Just
So I'm
to clear that up.
just just saying, if you were in, you know what I'm saying, what would you like about dating an older man? And I feel that
Yeah.
the I don't think that older men feed too much into the negativity about things. So that's, I like that because I want to be able to express myself.
Right.
I
Right.
don't just always want to be in a box.
Exactly.
And that's sexy to me when you can listen to me.
Right. It is. It's very much a turn on when someone can listen to you and you can be heard, because when you're heard, then you feel seen. And when you feel seen, you feel understood. And then you feel like, okay, I'm with somebody that, really has my back here. They've got me like on all fronts and I don't have to worry about anything else. And I know that I'm not in any type of competition. I know that if I'm having a bad day or I'm having a moment, he's not going to move on to Tanisha because Tanisha over here act like she don't got no problems. And that's
Right.
what the young boys do. The minute you got an issue, the minute you got a problem, hey, that's too
They
much.
feed in. Some young men do that. I've been with a lot of, not a lot, but most of them have been younger than me, and I feel like in that aspect, it was always a misunderstanding. Like we could never understand each other. And
Yeah.
now that you mentioned that about the age, I see why.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
see why. And that could be why.
Yeah.
That could be one of the reasons why it's difficult for some women to be understood by younger men, or the mentality of not being mature enough. Because if let's be real, some older people, they're still not fully mature.
Right. They're still out there. They're still, doing their thing. They're still looking for the 19 and the 20-year-olds, and they still trying to get it in where they can fit it in and all of that. And, my experience is I do have a combination. I do have a combination of dating younger than me, but I also have dated older than me. A lot of the younger guys that I dated, thought that I was actually younger than them. And same thing with the older guys. They thought that I was actually a lot younger than I was.
Because you
Now,
look young, baby. Look at you.
my genes, honey, good genes.
I know that's right.
Um, and I have to say this: my husband is younger than me, but I don't consider it significantly younger because it's not more than 5-10 years. It's 3 years. So I feel like within that window, we're in a position where we can match each other's energy, and because of our experience and then our time together before we got married, we really had an understanding of who each other was and how we thought about things and how we process things. So that didn't become an issue. So it's not like my husband is, 10, 15 years younger than I am, and I'm still waiting for him to catch up. I think that, we're on the same page for the most part when it comes to being able to have a discussion and a conversation, me wanting to be heard, him wanting to be heard, and being able to talk things out without there being a problem.
And that's the beauty of a relationship is, being heard. I also love the fact that maturity, I mean, for me, it's like to see people that they're sure about themselves and they
Yeah.
sure about what they want to do in life. Like,
Right.
I don't want you all over the place.
Right.
Tell me, you
Yeah.
know what I'm
What's
saying?
the what's the plan? Like
What's the plan?
what
What
do you
we doing? What's the goal? Like, and that's why some younger men look for older women
it's
because
go
uh,
ahead.
most of the time they need that.
Yeah.
They need somebody that is stable and can make plans and get something executed,
Mhm.
And sure enough, when I was in my 20s, I did a lot of clubbing. I was not concentrated on trying to build a life and a house and none of that. I'm just being honest.
Right.
So it was not until I hit that peak in my 30s that I was like, okay, this like some got to give, some got to change. So it did take me a little longer to mature and see what I wanted in life.
So, my 20s, I became a mom for the first time, and becoming a mom for the first time, it that in itself, I don't know, it just brought something, to me. Like everyone that I had a conversation with was like, you shouldn't do this, you're too young. You're not going to have any support. You're not going to have anybody to help you, blah, blah, blah. Give me all the reasons why I shouldn't. And I thought about it and I debated it and I went back and forth with it. And I made two appointments and I didn't go to either of them. And then I just had a conversation with God and I was like, please just guide me to be the best mother that I could be and give my child, the best life that I possibly could. So with that, I started making plans, mature plans. I planned on going to work full time instead of part time. I was in college at the time when this happened. So I decided to take on a full time role instead of a part time role. I said that, I wanted to be promoted within a year so that I could make more money. I wanted my child to not grow up in an apartment. I wanted him to live in a house and have a backyard to be able to play with. And if he wanted a dog or a cat or a pet or something, then he would be able to have that. I wanted him to be able to have friends come over to the house and chill and play. Now, mind you, I was doing all of that, but I still had my going out time because he would be with his daddy or my sister or a sitter if I could find one. So I was still, going out and having my fun in the city. But I had made a plan for myself and I committed to that plan and I achieved and I accomplished that plan. So I was able to buy a house. I was able to, let my son participate in activities that he wanted to participate in after school and play sports and do things like that. And I think because I had to make those decisions and I had to make them on my own without the insight of his dad, because his father at the time had no interest, like he had no plan. He was just a DJ.
And that shows your level of maturity. Like, regardless of what other people were doing, you were about your business and you were going to get shit done.
Yeah, and I felt like I had to. I had no choice. Like I had nobody to fall back onto. It wasn't like, oh, I could just move back home with my parents. My parents were in the middle of getting a divorce, and each was going their own, was going their own way and trying
Right.
to, figure their new life out as not being married any longer. So I didn't, have a choice. I didn't have that option to just move home and live at home with my baby and stack my money and this and that. Like I had to get out there and work. But just like with getting out there and working, I wanted to have a good time. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to continue those nights where I'd get off work at 10 o'clock and we'd pregame and then we'd head into the city and go to the club until 5 in the morning. And then we'd go out for breakfast, come home, sleep for an hour, and then I'd go to class.
Listen, I was okay. You know what? I did that too. Because back then in my clubbing years, I had a job, but I made sure that if I did go out, I was getting my ass up that morning to go to work.
Yeah,
So that definitely was not going to stop my grind.
right. So I think, being put in a position to make decisions and have an idea of what you want for your life. Like I had an idea of what I wanted my life to look like, and I knew that my child's father, I knew that that wasn't my forever person. That wasn't my, 50-year anniversary person. We've been married 50 years, blah, blah, blah person. I just knew that that wasn't him. Um, I mean, I thought I was in love with him. I thought I loved him. And I guess to some degree, I did, but we never talked about, what would happen if something happened. So that is an immaturity on both our behalves because we were never proactive and never really careful about, the possibility of a pregnancy. And I was on birth control, and then I stopped taking it because it just was doing too much to my body. And condoms, yeah, but we wouldn't always use them. And so, if I was mature and thinking in my mindset, then I would have been, always protected and always ensuring that that didn't happen. But I'm glad that it did because, my son is my best gift and my biggest blessing, and part of who I am today is definitely because of him. And the mom that I am to my other two is in part, due to me having to raise him on my own as a single mom in my 20s. So by the time I hit the 30 mark, then I was, in a situation where I was dating someone older, and he was 15 years older than me.
Mm.
And he was newly divorced. He'd been divorced for about 6 months. He had 3 kids. He liked to wine and dine and kind of like show me off. And I felt more like an accessory than a partner. He had a professional occupation, very professional occupation. And, I just never felt like he saw me as anything significant. He just saw me as this, hottie in a body. And that was it. Like
That's a big age gap.
he didn't have any interest in wanting to meet my son, wanting to get to know my son. And I wasn't at that stage where I was ready to make that introduction or anything like that anyway. But just thinking down the line and like, where is this going? I realized like, no, this is just for fun. This is just something fun. This is just something to do. And
Do you
eventually,
think that big of an age gap, is it really like the man just be wanting to say, I got somebody younger?
yeah,
Like
because all his
the
friends would be like,
stakes make it better.
damn. They'd be like, damn. Or they'd be like, how you doing? Like when they would meet me, they would just be like all like, engrossed and encapsulated in my presence. And I'd be like, what? Like,
Do you think that men that have that big age of a gap with a woman, like I'm talking about like 10 years or more, like do you think that the reason they look for very young women is because maybe they want to feel young too?
I think part of it is that they want to feel young too, but at the same time, I think it's that they know that I think it's that they know that they have more worldly experience than a younger female. And I feel like they want to be in a position to kind of do the guiding and the directing and really taking the lead and taking control in the situation and in the relationship.
And I think you have a point there. Like, I think older, you know, people, women or men, they just feel like they have more experience.
Mhm.
They could teach you some things.
Yeah. But he didn't teach me anything. He didn't teach he didn't
No,
teach
he was just,
he didn't teach me
he
anything.
was probably one of the ones that just wanted to feel young.
He just took me out to nice places to eat and went on trips and stuff like that. And I mean, it was cool, but it just wasn't like I knew it wasn't going anywhere, and I knew it wasn't going to be a long-term thing. It was just one of those things that came to be. And I mean, but it's like literally from the time that I met him to the time that like we had our that he asked me out on a date was literally like, I want to say like 3 days. Like I saw him and he saw me, and then I saw him again, and he was like, I meant to get your number the last time that I saw you, but I didn't. And he was like, can I have your number? He's like, I'd love to take you, love to take you to dinner. And I was just like, oh yeah, like what, why not? Because I was single, at the time. I'm single mom, raising my son, living my life, doing my career, maintaining my house, doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not out there in a relationship. I'm not dating anyone's, monogamously. I'm not dating anyone, seriously. There's no one person that's in my life that I'm, trying to build a future with and trying to build something with. So yeah. And then
Well,
from there,
that's a little different.
yeah, it was just a whirlwind, and then it just got to a point where like I got bored. Like it was boring. It wasn't interesting to like go out to eat, and it's like I'd want to talk about like things that might have like that I might have seen like on the news or in the news, or did you know that this was going on, or did you know that such and such was happening, and he'd be like, oh, let's not talk about that, like, and then he would talk about why don't we go to Miami next weekend, or let's go to Puerto Rico, or let's go to the DR, or let's this, let's that, let's go on a trip, let's take a trip, let's go shopping, let's this, let's that. So I've been through that, and it wasn't it wasn't great.
Well,
It
let me tell you about my experience.
was not great.
Because on the other hand, um, I have attracted, more younger men than older men. So, um, with that, it was always like I was talking about this earlier because to me it felt like okay, she got her head on right. She gonna make shit happen. So let me go for it. And at times I felt like very overwhelmed. Like
Hmm.
I'm the only one doing everything and trying to figure things out, and it just got to the point where I was just like, I just threw in the towel.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm tired.
Sometimes. Too
It's
much.
like some people can just some younger people can really overwhelm you,
Yeah.
especially when you're not seeing the same thing in that person. Don't get me wrong, I love to help my partner and motivate him, to whatever it is that he's trying to do. And I'm going to be there for him and I'm going to make it happen with him. But it comes to a point where I have to see your hunger for it as well.
Right.
And if I don't, I'm like, am I doing this for me or am I
Right.
doing it for him?
Right.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
the point that I had gotten to. And before I dated the older guy, I did date a younger guy, and he was 7 years younger than me. So pretty significant
yeah,
and so immature.
just say the truth.
So immature. I mean,
Um,
he just
when I have dated
he
younger men,
he didn't
I'm
have
just
no
being
he
honest.
had no money for us to go anywhere, or to go out, on any type of real type date. Anytime we did anything, it would literally be like going to the studio and chilling, or he'd come to my house and like I'd cook and like we'd watch a movie or something like that. And then of course, physical intimate things, it was good for that. But as far as like someone to kind of like talk to and be like, hey babe, like what do you think about this? Like I'm thinking about doing this. Like I was thinking about making some changes and some like renovations and doing something different like with my house, and was talking it over. I'm like, he's a dude, like he should know, like this is, like guy stuff. And he literally like had no idea, had no clue as
No
to
knowledge.
no clue as to what I was talking about. When I would talk to him, about stuff with work, I mean, for him, like it just didn't click because his work was trying to get his music off the ground, and trying to get these little tours and these little things like set up. So I mean, that was not a good experience. I mean, it was fun for about 5 minutes. And then it just wasn't. And then I just couldn't do it anymore because it was like, this is just a waste of my time. And I just felt like my brain was just like slowly dissolving into mush every
Your
time I tried.
interest. Like it's all about the interest.
Yeah.
Like you cannot keep that person interested in you.
And
Like
I
what are
couldn't
you really doing?
I couldn't say he couldn't hold my interest. It's like I don't care. Like I've been to the studio 100 times already. Like I don't care about going to the studio. Like let's do something fun. Like let's go to the park. Let's go roller skating. Let's go here. Let's go out to eat. Let's something different. And he wasn't interested in doing any of those things. Now the older guy, because of his worldly experience, because he kind of had an
He
idea
did want to do those things.
first. He wanted to do those things, and he would
Hmm.
make those, surprise things. And I would get flowers and different things delivered to my house and my job and this and that and whatever. But the younger guy, I don't think he gave me one flower. Not one flower, not
Yeah.
one
I
candy.
had to ask for flowers.
So it's like when I realized that I just wasn't getting anything, out of those situations and those experiences, then that's really what led me to believe that right now I just need to be single and stay chill. So when I was in my single and stay and chill mode, minding my own business, not looking for nobody, not wanting nobody to look for me, is when I met my now husband. So, the timing was not at all like what I wanted it to, what I wanted it to be. I wasn't interested. I said I wasn't interested for, for quite some time, but he would do small things like he would email me good morning, or text me like good morning, like when he got to work or whatever like that. We'd kind of talk throughout the day like on text. And in the midst of me meeting him, I needed to have a surgery. So I was having a surgery. He had to fly out of town. I think he had to go to California, to San Diego or something for some kind of project or whatever, whatever. And then he was like, when I get back, we're gonna link up and we're gonna get together. And I was like, oh, okay. So our first date, official date, was we went to go to the movies and we went to go see Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married?
Perfect movie.
First movie. But I had such a good time, and like I enjoyed our conversation. I enjoyed like talking to him, and what he did for a career was somewhat similar to what I was doing for a career. So there was an understanding, and there were similarities there, and there were things that we could talk about, and there were things that he could state that I could understand, and I would know what he was talking about, and the same with me. I was a single mom. He was a single dad. So we both understood, the struggles with that, and the difficulties with co parenting with the other one. And then from there, it just built, and then it just grew into, this is someone that, I really am, I'm
To
falling.
see yourself with.
I'm falling for this guy, and I wasn't planning to. It wasn't in my forecast. It wasn't in my journal, and it wasn't in my meditation. Because in my meditation and in my journaling, it was, I'm gonna stay single and chill for a while until I can figure out what are the next steps that I'm gonna take in my life. So that's how that went. And then we continued on for a while, and then I got pregnant.
And now you have a beautiful family.
Now I have a beautiful family.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's different situations for different people. Then you have all types of people. It depends on what they want in life to be able to say, oh, okay, I'm mature enough to have this relationship, or I'm mature enough to have this type of relationship.
Right.
So it depends on where you're at with that person. If you know that person is wants something, real with you, then I would imagine, even if doesn't matter if you're older, younger, or the same age to me, I was under the impression that that person should grow with you.
Right.
If they really want to be with you, um, not saying change yourself as self, but grow in this process,
Right.
mentally.
Yeah.
Some things that we used to do back then, it's not okay now.
Right.
We have a family,
Yeah.
so some things have to change. And if you don't see that change, then and it's nothing. People want to make it like real bad, oh, because you're talking about maturity. So if I'm not mature enough, I'm a bad person. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm That does not have anything to do with who you are.
Mm-mm.
That has everything to do where you are mentally.
Mentally. Yeah.
It's like we
Relationally.
have internet cords
Yeah.
in our minds.
Yeah.
So everything is connected. Um, so if we, women tend to have those cables in the brain
Right.
where it is necessary,
Right.
because women do make a lot of shit happen.
Yeah.
Men do too, but for in general, me talking, women usually know exactly what they want a little bit earlier.
Yeah. They
And
tend to know what they want, and they tend to have, their expectations tend to be pretty clear. And when they see that someone's not meeting those expectations, they do one of two things. They hang on in the situation thinking that, if they just work harder, try harder, be better, and do things differently, that they can get that person to change, which was the mindset that I had, with my first child's father, I just thought that, well, if I just do this and I do this and I work harder and I whatever,
Right.
whatever, then I'm going to get him to grow up. I'm going to get
And
him.
some women don't want to have, straight relationship with guys. They'll
Right.
just be like, hey, you could just come over when I call.
Right. Yes.
But she letting you know straight up what it is exactly that she wants.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So, what's understood don't have to be explained.
Exactly.
Then some women do want to be in a relationship. They want to be in a serious relationship with a man. They don't want their man out there cheating on them and stuff like that. And they make that very clear in
Absolutely.
the beginning of the relationship. I have.
Yeah.
I know I have. So if you decided to do anything else besides of what I said, that's just because, that was you. You
Right.
were not ready for me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That does not make you a bad person.
Right. Because
That
there's
just makes you, not on the level that I was on.
some guys might hear what you say when you're like, just come when I call. Like this is just that. Like this is just for fun. Like I'm not trying to,
Some men don't say that
I'm
though.
I'm not trying to get locked down. I'm not trying to be serious. But if you are in a situation where you're dealing with someone that is your quote unquote just for fun, or your whatever, your friend, whatever, on the side, there's some men that, because they're not mature enough to handle the fact that you're not only dealing with them, that you could potentially be dealing with other people, then they want to try to push a relationship. They want to try to push
When
you.
they know that's not what they really want.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
they're just doing that because now they can have you in this little bubble
Right.
where if they decide that you're somebody they want to be with, they can always come back.
Exactly. Which is wrong, which they should
Which
not.
that is wrong.
Yeah, they should not do
Yeah,
that.
you shouldn't be wanting to do that to people.
Yeah.
Let people go. If
Yeah.
you don't see you being with that person, like just let them go because that's where the toxic environments start, and um I heard somebody say today that women are more like men in today's world. And I think that's true.
Yeah.
But I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I'm not making no excuses,
No. No. No
but I'm just
excuses.
saying.
But we've been through some things. We've been
I'm,
through some things, and we realized that, we gotta, put the ball and put the ball back in our court, and take our power back. And taking our power back means not relinquishing all this control for the man to be the deciding factor in what happens next.
and
If
let
he
me tell
meets.
you, my reasoning. A lot of women have been put in a spot where they had to do masculine shit.
Right.
So some of these women don't have no choice, you know what I'm saying? But to become, let's just think, let's throw in there, think like a man.
Right.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you coming with me now.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So a lot of women was put in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I love to be feminine.
Right.
I don't want to have a masculine, trait about me, not
Yeah,
one.
you don't want to have masculine energy.
Um, but I was put in that spot.
Right.
I had to take care of stuff like I was a real man.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I didn't, then we would have never gotten as far as we did.
Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of women have been put in this spot, and that's why you see a lot of women now, they don't even care about relationships no more.
Yeah.
If you ain't coming correct, if you ain't coming right, I ain't got time for you.
Right. Yeah, because they're too focused on, mapping out their life goals and their plans, and like putting their plays into position to get to the next level of what they're trying to get to, whether it's career, whether it's building a business, whether it's, you know, getting their real estate license because they want to be a realtor, they want to have a new avenue of income, they want to start a side business, whatever the case may be. We have more pressing things that we need to take care of. And let's not forget about throwing in the fact that, many of us are mothers. There are very few of us that are out here that don't have kids. The
You
majority
have to go into that mode, especially if you're a single mother.
Yeah, the majority of us out here have kids. And, you know,
And and the father is not in their kid's life.
right,
Because most people be like, oh, you don't have to. Yes, you do.
right. And when you
When a father is not in their kid's life, yeah, you have to go on that mode. I'm not saying be straight, like you ain't gotta be no dude. You know what I'm saying? But you do have to have that energy in there.
Right. We're not taking them outside and teaching them how to play football, but we'll sign them up for football at the rec
Yeah.
center or the school, if that's something that he wants to participate in. Yeah, we can go in the backyard and we can throw a ball back and forth, but I can't teach you no tackles. I can't teach you how to do that.
And then you have some men as well who have to, if they have like daughters and they're single fathers, you know what I'm saying? They need that feminine energy too,
Yes.
because towards their daughter,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so it's vice versa. Um, I'm talking about mentally, like in the mentality. I'm not talking about physically right now. I'm just talking about mentally. You do have to go through those different roles, especially if you're playing it. So when it comes down to a woman trying to settle with a man, the dude be like, "Oh no, she's too masculine. She want to be independent. Peace."
Right.
Don't do that.
Right. Right. I
Don't do that
think
because you don't know what she had to go through
right.
to be like that.
And I don't think there's such a thing as being too independent. I mean, I think it's a matter of knowing how to get shit done. And if that means that I'm independent, well, then label me independent because I know how to get shit done. I'm not going to
Exactly.
leave shit undone. I'm not going to leave my kids without a roof over their head and
Right.
food to eat and a way for us to get from point A to point B and clothes on their back and being able to participate in activities in school and go on field trips and do all this kind of stuff because we don't got money. These field trips be $200 and $300. I got one coming up for my youngest at the end of March, and that trip is $200 for that field trip. Things like that. You want to be able to provide for your kids. We do have a couple of Facebook comments. One person says, "I need to rest in my femininity," and that resonates with me. I feel
Who?
like when you are in a relationship, when you're in a partnership, a relationship, when you're in a marriage, when you're, common law husband and wife, whatever the case may be with your partner, I need to be able to rest in my femininity. That resonates with me. I need to feel like a woman. I need to act like a woman. I need to be woman like. I need to know that,
I
I
can
don't have to,
chill and be a woman.
right. That I don't have to
I
go
can be
out,
secure and safe
right. I don't have to
to
get out.
know that I am a woman.
I don't have to get out there and mow the lawn and change the oil or fix a flat tire or do none of that stuff. That I can just, if I feel like doing a spa day and I'm treating my face and I'm doing a nice bubble bath or whatever, that's what I feel like doing, and that's what
Well, I guess it'll be the independent in me because I'd be like, I'm just gonna pay somebody to do this.
I get somebody to come over and fix it, or
I'm not
call
even
call
gonna
the
try to learn.
call
I'm
the
gonna just pay
call
you.
the
Can you
tow
do
truck.
it, please? Okay.
But yeah, I mean, growing up, my dad taught my sister and I, how to change oil in cars and what to do if you had a flat tire. Cause he was like, you never know what can happen. You need to know this. So yeah, I know how to do it. doesn't mean that I want to do it. If I had to do it and it came down to it, if I have to, if it's between waiting 4 hours for AAA or a tow truck to come, I probably gonna go ahead and break down and do it, because I'm not gonna try to be on the side of 85 for no 4 damn hours. But at the same time, I'm appreciative of that. As one of the things that I learned from my dad, in his male role as being my father, but also um can appreciate that that's knowledge that I know my mom would have never taken the time to be like, baby, this is how you change a flat tire, this is how you change the oil in your car. You know what I'm saying? That's
My
not
mom didn't even have a car. So
like,
how she gonna tell me that?
like that's not something she gonna tell me how to do. But she gonna get me in that kitchen and show me how to whip up a meal, or she gonna show me how to make sure I separate the whites from the colors when it's time to do laundry. You know what I'm saying? She gonna show me how to run that
Oh, she
vacuum.
definitely showed me that.
She gonna
She
she
showed me other things. So
she gonna do things that she thinks are necessary. But your parents can only give you what they've been given. And
right.
I say that because they do, you want, as a parent, you want to do the best that you can with what you have. And in my situation, when I became a parent for the first time, I wanted to parent my child differently than how I was parented. There were some good things that that take from my childhood, but I wanted my child to have more. I never wanted him
Right.
to wonder if he was wanted, if he was loved, if he was cared about. I always made sure to show him that every day, be affectionate towards him every day, because I don't come from a very affectionate family. As a kid, my parents weren't very, very affectionate, towards me. Like, I'm really super affectionate with my mom now. Like, we hug and kiss all the time, but it wasn't like that, growing up. And that's something that I wish that I had, because I feel like if I had that, that would have given me a little more security. And maybe I wouldn't have made some of the choices when I got into my, upper teen years and started, talking to guys and stuff like that. I wouldn't have sought out those affections and make out sessions and and all other kinds of messing around that I had no business had no business doing, because I wasn't mature enough. Just because I was 16, 17 at the time doesn't mean that I was ready. My
And
brain
another
certainly was.
quality that I think that is along with age is like doing what you say you're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that,
think that's also a level of maturity, that I really appreciate.
absolutely.
Because some people be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and never get anything done.
And never get anything done.
So
Well, this was a good conversation. It was a nice long, it was a long topic for you guys tonight. So you guys got a little extra time with us, but we
oh
had
my
to do
God, it's
it.
almost an hour.
Yeah, we had to do it for our first one back for the new year 2024. And make sure you guys stay tuned in every Sunday with us. We'll have a new topic for you. We'll drop stuff in the group chat that we can converse about, talk about. We'll probably bring it into the podcast when we talk on Sunday, people's comments, what people have said, and all of that. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, go to our Instagram page, Real Chill Conversations, join the Facebook group so that you can also be a part of the conversation. And if you have any suggestions or questions or anything that you want us to talk about in a topic, future topic, you can post it in the comments, or you can send it to us at realchillconversations@gmail.com. It's your girl Brenna B signing off. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and welcome back. It's good to see you. Good to have
Let's
you.
get ready.
Y'all looking good out here. I can't
Okay,
see you, but I see you. You know what I'm saying?
2024.
I can't see you, but I see you.
Okay,
All right, y'all. Peace.
bye
Bye.
bye.